Hello and welcome back to me, Mayhem 2 for Freestyle. We have a far bigger course than we're used to, and instead of the train we had last year, we have a plane. Anyway, we will be using a parts randomizer for these vehicles. Basically what it'll do is it'll change the tires, it'll change the transmission, the engine, sometimes it'll change the shocks as well. Anyway, at the end of part 2, you will be able to vote for which of these 16 trucks you believe is the winner of Freestyle, and they will move on to the finals. Anyway, if you haven't watched any of the Freestyles before, I will give a quick rundown of the rules. And if you have already seen one of these, you may skip to here so that you do not have to watch the rules again. So with that, here are the rules. Here we have a CRD chassis to help us demonstrate how the rules are going to work for this season. So, each truck will have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to complete the course. Time will start the moment they hit their first obstacle, whether it be a jump, a car, a donut, basically whatever. And each truck will have a 30-second grace period from the start of their run to basically flip over. Because this season, when a truck rolls over, that's it, its run is over. However, if it does manage to roll over within the first 30 seconds of the run, it may be allowed to get itself back onto all 4 tires at the cost of 30 seconds to its run, which would essentially turn a 2-minute 30-second run into a 2-minute run if the truck happens to roll over within the first 30 seconds of the run. Otherwise, Freestyle effectively the same way as it would be in the previous season, except now the trucks can't roll themselves back onto their wheels. So, with that out of the way, let us get on to our very first truck of this event. Up first, we have Megalodon. This Megalodon is very unique, as you can see, as it is a double-scaled CRD chassis. This basically started when Game Boy saw that actual Megalodons were quite bigger than the monster truck, and so here we are. Now this is a double-scaled track, and this is a double-scaled Megalodon, so this truck should look pretty normal on the track. Something interesting to note is that the engine does overheat very fast, and the fuel tank does run out quite quickly. So if the truck just stops in the middle of the run, then I think either one of those two things will happen. You can hear the truck is revving quite loudly, but the gearing's not all that good. Although it does pull off a nice little wheelie coming off the ramp. Hitting it in reverse, gonna go up this center ramp here. Up he goes. Bounces down on the rear suspension. Puts in a little moonwalk. Again, this big Megalodon on this big track just seems to be completely regular sized. If it weren't for the big plane obstacle over there, I'm sure we wouldn't be able to tell. Looks like Megalodon's going right for the plane. Up and over the airplane. Those cars are definitely flattened now. Looks like Megalodon's gonna try to give us a donut here. And it looks like either the truck ran out of fuel. Actually, I see smoke coming out the back. I think the engine overheated and died. It looks like that is, unfortunately, the end of the run here for Megalodon. Up next in our lineup, we have Freak Show. As you can see, some of the random parts on here. Some coilover shocks, completely different tires. Now there is a lot more I could do with the parts randomizer, but unfortunately certain bodies and certain chassis don't have all the parts. So like I think when I first randomly generated this, it had like this taller shocks, then when I had to change the chassis, it just brought it down to regular shocks. Truck doesn't seem to go all that fast in a straight line. Some decent acceleration though, but it has a little bit of a wobble. Clears the tabletop there. You can see it definitely has some good acceleration. Like going for the airplane. Oh, not quite. Just missed it. Did a little tap to the airplane there. I'm surprised the hat was short enough to go underneath the airplane. Puts it in reverse, hits the side of this racing ramp. Sticks it right up on the nose. Holds a nice little stoppie there up on top. Does a reverse backflip. Quite the maneuver there. Although this track is so big that you can't really stay in one place for very long, as there's just so much ground to cover. And the acceleration or the top speed of Freak Show doesn't seem to be helping all that much. Going for the airplane now, Megalodon very well crushed some of those cars there. Seems to have popped one of the tires on Freak Show. Freak Show's in a bit of trouble. Gets it back on all four tires. Quite a good save there by Freak Show. Puts in Donut, goes up on two wheels, onto the sidewalls, and back on all fours. Looks like just going to drag the body around a little more. Going to try that Donut once again. And it seems the gearing here is kind of limited this truck and what it can do. Still a nice donut by Freak Show. Going for the big backflip ramp now. Let's see what happens here. Spins around. And I think the flat tire actually absorbed the landing there. So the truck didn't over-rotate. Up the step-up ramp. Back tires clipping the ramp. Down the ramp the truck goes, and it looks like that will flip them over, and that will be the end of the run here for Freak Show. Pretty good run, but we're only 2 trucks in. I'm sure we have some more exciting trucks and shows here for us. Up next we have Marquee Jester's The Bounty Hunter. And it seems Part Randomizer has not given us the jet engine back, unfortunately. That probably would have come to some use here, I'm sure. And looks like once again the engine's a little bit funky with the tuning. Once again, truck seems to have some good acceleration. And some pretty good top speed as well. Once you get to that higher RPM, truck doesn't seem to like that very much. Marquee Jester is getting some pretty big air over the ramps here. Going for the crush cars over the airplane. I did refresh the crush cars a little bit. A little bit of a weird bounce there. Does manage to stay on all 4 tires. Coming back around, going for the metal ramp on the airplane. Clears the airplane, gets some big distance. Lands it down with a big sky wheelie. Not quite done with the big air yet, going for the big dirt ramp. Up they go, soaring through the air. Lands it down hard. Goes up on two wheels, rolls it over, and it looks like a couple of four-links broke on the landing. And with the front drive shaft broken, I don't think Marquee Jester was getting back up anytime soon. With that, that is the end of the run here. Let's move on to the next truck we have. Up next on our list, we have someone who was at the World Finals last year. It's Spoderman. Once again, a very interesting setup here from the parts randomizer. Looks like some coilover shocks, different kind of sway bars, funky looking exhaust pipes, slicks in the rear, regular tires up front. This is definitely going to be a very interesting setup for Freestyle. Truck seems to handle fairly normally, in the engine anyway. Getting some nice air right up and over the tabletop. A little bit of a bounce coming off the ramp. Going up the other side of this airplane now from the crushed cars, right up and over. Little bounce coming right off. The tires in the rear don't seem to be affecting the truck that much. Whoa, going into a bit of a wheelie here, turning off to the side, rolls it onto the side, and it gets up onto the tabletop. The truck might get lucky here and be able to roll back on all four tires. Will probably be some engine damage coming off of this, but it looks like Spoderman might be able to come back onto all four tires. Yes, he will. Spoderman got a bit lucky there. Normally, if it was just flat ground, that would have been the end of the run right then and there. Gets a nice wheelie coming along the length of the stadium. Going for the big jump now. Up he goes. Incredible air. This killed Marquee Jester last run. Sends him into the turn tabletop. Takes off a wheel, and I think that might be the end of the run here for Spoderman. A little bit of incredible run. Once again, that top ramp definitely did something, although it was the tabletop in the end that caused the truck to flip over. Anyway, we still have a few more trucks to go. Let's move on to the next one in our lineup. Up next, we have Ocean Bluthers. We saw this truck last Be Mayhem. Once again, this is from the Game Boy meme pack. From what I remember, you meant it as some kind of environmentally friendly vehicle. Though it seems the parts randomizer has given us a 540 Hemi engine. And I'm pretty sure we all know that's certainly not an environmentally friendly engine right there. Seems to be a little slow on the acceleration. Again, this is why I didn't use parts randomizer in racing. But for Freestyle, we can go all out on whatever we want to do. Definitely seems to have some problems accelerating, but does have enough top speed to clear the tail of the airplane there. Goes into a little bit of a 180 coming off that ramp. Is set up nice and straight, going for these ramps again. A little cross-threading, kinda. Once again, this is a very big stadium. Ocean Bluther popping up a slap wheelie. And with that, a truck with a kind of a tuning setup like this, where it doesn't have that much acceleration, is definitely going to have some trouble navigating the floor here, trying to get from obstacle to obstacle. Although it does get some nice air off of that ramp. Does a little cross-threading over the tabletop, sticks the nose down, rolls the truck over, but will manage to land on all 4 tires. Going back to the airplane once again. Going right up over those crushed cars. Puts the truck into a little bit of a stoppie here. A little bit of one-wheel skills, I might say. Going back for the crushed cars, rear tires clipping the fuselage of the aircraft. Gets a little slap wheelie out of it. Looks like he's going for the backflip ramp now. Up he goes, doesn't really get any kind of rotation, lands on the back part of the roll cage. That must have hurt. Spins the truck around, but manages to get back on all 4 tires. With the spine absolutely shattered, Ocean Bluthers just keeps moving along. And it looks like Ocean Bluthers is going to put an end to the run here. And with that, that was a pretty good run. How good is it? Well, we still have a few more trucks to go for part 1 and then 8 more in part 2. Let's move on to the next one we have. Up next, we have Capybara. I think this is fairly recently added in, at least at the time I'm posting this. Kinda. Anyway, as you can see here, this is a fairly good-looking Capybara here. Parts randomizer doesn't seem to have been too bad to it, although that is quite the acceleration coming right out of the gate. Oh my goodness. Starting off to run over these crushed cars, bit of a sky wheelie till the back tires clipped the airplane. The nose coming right off as the truck enters a sky wheelie. Throws it into reverse. Tries to get a bicycle, but I think the ramp is just a little too steep there. Going on the backside of the racing lane, a big sky wheelie once again. Lands down hard, puts it on one wheel, rolls it over. Will manage to keep it on all 4 though. Coming right up at that racing lane, going for a nosedive. Loses some control, spins it around. Pops it up in a sky wheelie, coming over the tabletop here. Going for the backflip pretty early on. You see a hit or miss ramp. Spins it around, gets just enough rotation to land it. Puts it on the sidewalls, bounces off the wall there. Flip-flops the sidewalls. It makes it back on all 4 tires. Puts it into a stoppie here after getting some nice air over the tabletop. And goes into a donut. There's a little nuts there going on the sidewalls. Something seems to have happened to this truck. I don't know if the front wheels are putting down power or not. It does have a pretty nice bicycle. Spins it around, goes a little too fast in the turn, ends up on the side, and that's going to be the end of the run here for Capybara. Up next in our lineup, we have Backwards Bob on a forward-facing body. Don't ask. Seems like we have some slick tires in the front, some of the SIR 66-inch tires here in the back. So probably not going to get quite a lot of traction there. It's got some pretty big shocks up in front. Definitely a very interesting setup here for Backwards Bob. Backwards Bob starting us off with some big air. Getting quite the big bounce off of that. Pops it into a slap wheelie. Seems to have some pretty good acceleration. Putting off a couple more wheelies on the landing. Going for the metal ramp here. Goes right up over the airplane. It's some big air. Once again, quite the big bounce. It seems like the shocks might be a little harder in the back. Backwards Bob putting it into a bit of a stopping gear. Sliding around a little bit. Again, not very much traction here from either of the tires. Is getting some nice air though. Goes nose end. Rolls it right on over, but manages to stick up back on all four tires. Starts going for a donut now. Nice donuts by Backwards Bob. Going a little diagonally towards the tabletop, flies sideways before landing back down. Once again, the rear suspension just kicking up. Going for a big ramp now. Will it claim yet another victim? Backwards Bob getting some huge air, breaks off the rear tire. Lands on the side, but will land on all three tires that remain. Backwards Bob not stopping just yet. The ramp pad claims yet another victim, but this one will just keep on moving. Going for the crush cars next to the airplane, drives right up over the airplane, no problem. Tries to go for yet another donut, but we'll roll it over. Gets back on all three tires now, but time is up for Backwards Bob. And as you can see here, it had a pretty good run, but there's one more truck left for part one. So let's see how Backwards Bob will compare, and then we'll see how the trucks in part two will compare to Backwards Bob's run. So let's move on to the final truck we have for part one. And our final truck for part one is Forward Fred on a backwards body. Again, trying to be funny, I suppose. Anyway, seems to have kind of a similar setup here. Doesn't seem to have like it'll have that much traction. Has some coilover shocks up front. Anyway, we're gonna see what this body can do. Forward Fred, quite a lot of acceleration yet again. Doesn't seem to have that much top speed though. Immediately tries for a bicycle. Goes a little funky, trying to not be on all four tires, it seems. Nice smooth landing on the end of that tabletop. Once again, not a lot of top speed for Forward Fred, it seems. That's definitely going to hurt him a bit trying to get around this stadium. Goes right up the racing lane. Nose dives right into the ground. Should I say tailgate dives? I don't know. Looks like Forward Fred's finally facing the right way, hitting it in reverse or forward. I don't know. Gets off a little bit of a moonwalk there. Or a wheelie. I don't know. Body's backwards. Going for the ramp down here. Once again showing that it doesn't have a lot of top speed. Does get over the airplane though. And giving us a donut. Going up on three wheels now too. Again, this truck does seem to have a lot of acceleration, but not so much top speed. He's in trouble once again, rolls it over, And it looks like that's going to be an unfortunate end of the run here for Forward Fred. And with that, I will see you in part 2 for the remaining 8 trucks.